I'm not picking on the word capitalism because any ism, fascism, socialism, communism, includes trading, so therefore ensures poverty and deceptive behaviours. But capitalism most aligns with the words trading and property. Trading, buying or selling securities or commodities. Property, something owned, any tangible or intangible possession that is owned by someone. Capitalism, an economic system based on private ownership of capital. So for the sake of definition, it's clear to me that trading or property is capitalism. Moving on, in order to keep this social pyramid an extremely unnatural state of social affairs, it comes at a ridiculous and technically unnecessary cost. Instead of building a free, public access transportation system of clean electric GPS vehicles, as many that would be socially required for people to be moved around in, we have an anti-system of violence, where the private car that you can afford is a piece of shit, it's dirty, it intentionally breaks down, so you're forced to pay for it being fixed, and while you own this piece of shit car, someone who's wealthy, with a brain-damaged ideology to justify it, believes it's his right to cut himself off from the rest of society with a disgusting display of wealth by owning a car which is obviously still technically inefficient. But the idea of looking down on someone by owning something better than you causes stress. Relative poverty, distorted social values, and absolute poverty, basic human requirements in danger. This is not only violent, it's wasteful, and what's required isn't pursued, and instead the biased position of the rich towering over the poor for the sake of satisfying a wealth addiction is the preference. Violent, biased claims will obviously follow. The poor are inferior because I paid a bunch of scientists to say they are. This is biased propaganda. The fact is, society is healthier when we work together as equals, so to speak. People will chant communism to such a statement because they've gotten comfortable to either being the wealth addict and towering over the poor, or comfortable to being poor and having covert social structure violence forced upon them. Well, science demands that you get out of your comfort zone. And this social system, which is held as most sacred, needs the most revision and testing. Because by simple deduction, it appears that trading is a complete fraud and there's no such thing as fair exchange. Class division, or earning your right to life, causes stress and therefore social problems, violence, sickness, whoring oneself, etc. However, those who religiously believe in free and equal exchange ignore these violent social structure elements of our deeply flawed antisocial system, arbitrarily claiming trading is not the problem, government or the state is the problem. It's the source of all of our problems, as if the government is somehow magically disconnected from the market board game and is the only entity which wants to seek competitive advantage. This social system is offensive, with the poor being given low-class food, or no food at all, while the rich, due to their brain damage, justify to themselves a position of having an obscene surplus. Also due to the market's insidious nature, some foods we don't even need, yet if they can sell it to us, they make a profit. Technically speaking, everyone can have access to food, water, shelter. This would be done by a well-calculated survey of the true demand of human requirements. We need this change, since the arrangement of rich versus poor classes due to trading is exhausting the planet's natural resources. All the calculating that goes on with GDP, the stock exchange, prices rising and falling are all completely useless. The motivation for scarcity to exist, for the sake of monetary profit, creates biased, pseudoscientific measures. All they can display is dysfunction, since they don't reflect human or environmental health. True scientific and social progress is not achieved through a scarcity, trading-based atmosphere. So all of those market measurements are disconnected from reality. We need something different. What about housing? Presently, we'll have a brain-damaged wealthy individual owning a 50,000 room mansion while the poor live in cardboard boxes. Totally unjustifiable, but is embraced by society which thinks trading is a good idea. To counter this, I've heard an extremely violent attitude from equal or fair trade loving people who say, if you don't like trading, or if you don't believe in property, well, it must be okay for me to walk into your house and take your stuff. When people say things like this, it's important to recognize their disconnection from reality, since the only form of violence they consider to exist is blatant, not covert, or they don't want covert violence to be known or recognised. Trading is a covert form of violence, since both opponents want to use deception to gain the better end of the deal. Trading is not to be confused with sharing, since they're opposites. With the slavish attitude of, that's just the way it is, I'd say covert violence enables blatant violence, and therefore is much more insidious. So, the goal of the Zeitgeist Movement is to remove this unnecessarily wasteful situation from society, which is designed to instill the message of inferiority towards the poor. Socially speaking, eugenics still seems to be believed, regardless of the science which proves it's nonsense. How else would a society justify itself with disregarding its most weak and vulnerable?
I'm rich because of my great divine holy genes, while you're poor because of corrupt, evil, satanic genes.
But let's get even more ridiculous. The reason why this person is poor while I'm rich is because they didn't try hard enough to get a job! Such a statement is so flawed for a few reasons. 1. Money, trading, wealth, competition are the poorest possible motivators. They don't encourage progressive thought, and only reward dull, mechanical thinking. The most wealthy are the most deceptive, brain-damaged individuals, who basically use sophisticated gambling methods to gain more wealth. Such individuals urgently need medical treatment, not societal praise for their actions. 2. The market is a free-for-all of disorganized jobs. It is believed that social competition will magically get the jobs that need doing done, which ignores the gravity of self-interest in the trading concept. The act of looking for a job is a job, and obtaining a boring, scarcity-driven job is considered a privilege. And since labour isn't organised into what needs to be done to enable a functioning society, we live in a society which wants to and enjoys failing. 3. Technology replacing jobs outright while telling people to go get a job. What are these market religion-inclined politicians going to do? Are they going to say, besides competitive labour being counter-progressive, we're still going to religiously promote earning your right to life? We need to remove the technology in society that replaces jobs and makes life easier for people. That goddamn internet is blasphemy in the name of our Lord, Jesus Christ. We need to get people off the internet by making Sunday worship at church mandatory. If you don't attend, it is punishable by law. What I think will continue is a grinding between ideologies, between technology that enables true efficiency with no one left behind, and the market which promotes cost-cutting and therefore wastefulness of resources and labour, pollution since nature is considered an externality by business, war for the sake of property expansion, poverty because of wealth addicts, and many more problems that come with keeping our society based on cancerous trading. Does the market need to continue? Not at all. Based on the assumption that humans are naturally competitive, a job in a market requires a war mentality. That, like it or not, employment is violence, because your position is based on keeping your strategic advantage over others.
There are over 550 million firearms in worldwide circulation. That's one firearm for every 12 people on the planet. The only question is, how do we arm the other 11?
Why are we playing games? You traffic arms.
Trade.
Trade, traffic. You get rich by giving the poorest people on the planet the means to continue killing each other. Do you know why I do what I do? I mean, there are more prestigious assignments. Keeping track of nuclear arsenals, you'd think that more critical to world security, but it's not. No, 9 out of 10 war victims today are killed with assault rifles and small arms, like yours. Those nuclear missiles, they sit in their silos. Your AK-47, that is the real weapon of mass destruction.
I don't want people dead, Agent Valentine. I don't put a gun to anybody's head and make them shoot. I admit, a shooting war is better for business, but I prefer people to fire my guns and miss, just as long as they're firing.
How can you do this? You make me sick.
This display of how corrupt the market is should show how trading is not natural for humans. So any justification of trading or the market is a display of mental illness, pathological lying, which voids it instantly. Capitalist propaganda does not equal scientifically derived facts. What about the rich? paying to feed, clothe and shelter the poor of the world. Unfortunately, I don't think there's a way to buy ourselves out of poverty. The propensity of money or trading is an addiction to wealth or greed. It comes with the package. It's not human nature. It develops from a belief in trading. And like all beliefs, religious, political, economic, they are made obsolete through science.
It's disgraceful and disgusting that a company can sit on $150 billion and even think to pay a worker $2 to $3 an hour.
Of course, this is disgusting, but greed is not a choice in a trading-based society. It's a mental illness that's developed. And with this unfair social structure, we have utopian beliefs of fair and equal exchange. Politics is damaging too. The lust for power, the idea of using your wealth and social position at your advantage to install your biased policies that people must obey through force. And finally, religious belief. Why not believe that reality itself has a bias towards your competitive advantage? Because I am rich, I can channel the divine words of our Lord Jesus Christ. If economic, religious and political realms were so natural as the status quo and even some activist communities say they are, with their proclaimant that I'm a New World Order, Freemason, Illuminati, United Nations, Theosophy, Communist, Socialist, Nazi, hippie cult, operative, recruiter, then the science should show that the people who invest their time in these realms should be extremely healthy. Yet that's not what we see. We see brains geared towards deception, the emulation of emotion instead of the feeling of it. In response to the legitimate criticisms of the delusion of trading bringing prosperity, we're told science is utopian, from deranged, logically flawed arguments.
There is no utopia in anything we're talking about, and we don't promote a utopia, we don't talk about a utopia, because that is a fixed, final, static destination that doesn't exist. It's a myth, it's a fantasy, and that's why we don't play around in that land.
I hope it's clear that science is not utopian, an unchanging, perfect society. Science relies on change, an updating of knowledge through testing. And again, trading is a utopian concept. There's nothing fair or equal about it. It relies on deceiving your opponent in the trade so you get the better end of the deal. Fair trade only looks good on paper, whereas this is the reality. Science is not politics either, so Wikipedia sources which say I'm part of a political movement are completely wrong. You can't vote on what's factual, it's tested or discovered. And science is not Scientology either. I'm responding, of course, to those who accuse me of thinking Peter Joseph is God. This fly being a joke, I think. These are baseless, slanderous labels, designed for the ignorant, by the ignorant. So it's up to us to reverse this social cancer with an open-source, scientifically based social system. With our social values aligned to nature, we would see more practical applications of technology than today. So I just keep pinning up DVDs and flyers about the Zeitgeist Movement, as seen here. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please visit my Facebook and join the movement so we can transition from this cancerous trading society into a society which is actually concerned with social and environmental health. Goodbye.